someone here.
Hey, Amy, how are you?
Okay. All right. I'll post that. What?
I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. Since I come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like the daggers. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie. Valerie. Did you have to go to jail? But your house not up for sale. Did you get a good lawyer? I hope you didn't catch a thing. I hope you find the right man who'll fix it for you. And now you're shopping and anywhere. Change the color of your hair. And are you busy? And did you have to pay that fine that you were dodging all the time? Are you still dizzy? Since I come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like the dress. I want you to come on over and stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie. 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 Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water. And I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. And since I come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your tender hair and the way you like the jacket. Won't you come on over and stop making a fool out of me? Oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, yeah. Valerie. Valerie.
Starting when? All right, it looks like we're about to be live here. Are we rolling? Are we live? All right, Facebook community, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Welcome. We are here in Marina Del Rey at Thrive Market for the exciting book launch of Kiss the Ground, written by my very own dear husband, Josh Tickell. And Kiss the Ground, it is a book about how we can, brace yourself, reverse climate change. I know that sounds like, how could that be possible? But it really is, and Kiss the Ground shows you how. It's a book, it's a nonprofit, it's also a soon-to-be movie that I'm directing with my husband. And I am so honored and privileged right now to be standing here with one of my very dear friends, somebody that I love profusely. Her name is Amy Smart. She's an incredible actress, and what I love most about you, Amy, is how you really step up for causes. When there's a cause, I know I can always count on you to be there. You have been a champion for these environmental issues through the years that I've known you, so thank you.
Well,
I love you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.
I love supporting all the work that you do. I mean, you both are incredible filmmakers. You guys always make the most, to me, important films that need to be made, and I'm really excited to read this book. I know it's totally in alignment with what I believe in, and but I'm excited to get more of the facts and more of the details, and then I'm excited for the film when that comes out too.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely invite you out for the premiere when that happens, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know you have a little, almost 1-year-old at home.
Yes, I do.
And so I imagine,
Disease.
yes, I have a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old, so I'm like, you know, if I forget your name, it's not my fault, I swear. It's sleep deprivation. But thank you so much for leaving your little baby Flora behind and coming here.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited. You know, I just planted these garden boxes, and I can't wait for her to learn how to garden and to learn all about, you know, regenerative agriculture and learning about the system and the solar system and how everything works in unison when we honor it, you know, so. I'm excited for tonight.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you're here. And I have a few fun and exciting things for us to do.
You do?
Yeah, so this just isn't any red carpet. This is if you notice, we're actually standing on grass. And
We are.
yeah. So the reason that we're standing on grass rather than a red carpet is because most people don't realize, but like trees, grass is actually one of the most beneficial plants on Earth for drawing down carbon into the ground.
Wow.
So, you know, this obviously is like, you know, Lowe's sod. So this is probably, you know, GMO grass. So this isn't exactly what I'm talking about here, but it's all about the point. The point is that actually through photosynthesis, so through grasses and trees, we can actually draw that carbon down out of the atmosphere and get back down to pre-industrial levels with the carbon in the atmosphere. So
It's a pretty huge finding for climate change, you know, and it's going back to the way it used to be, really.
yeah, I mean, who would have thought that after all of these years of arguing about whether climate change is real and being stressed out about whether or not we can do anything about it, that the answer is actually right here beneath our feet, and it's called healthy soil.
Yes.
So tonight, I thought we could kick off our shoes.
All right, cool.
And
Let's
we
do
could
it.
put our feet in the grass. I know it's a little like hippie move, but
Whatever. Box. What? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I brought this bench from home, so you can sit if you
Did awesome non-pedicure toes. Woohoo.
We're getting real.
You know what I love? I love also earthing, right?
Yeah, well, earthing, that's another big thing that we've been talking about. But yeah, I mean, the earth has the power to heal us.
I love it. It's like, oh, now I feel like I'm back in a garden.
And all those people who have foot fetishes, eat your heart out. I know, right? Here, okay, we're going to... Your feet are beautiful, even without nail polish. All right, and then I have... Okay, so I'm not done with the with torturing you yet. So I have some more things. We could eat dirt. Yes, I know. Since we're, you know... Okay, well, this is organic, locally grown, so it's from Venice.
Yeah.
Grass-fed.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Grass-fed grass.
Dirt. Good. Soil. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Is this healthy soil? What's your...
It's good. Yes, it's... Oh, yeah. It's absolutely, because it's moist. You can make, like, little dirt balls.
You know what? For professional analysis, we should bring in our dirt experts over here, actually. Okay, so Finian and Ryland, come on over here. Yeah, dirty men, come join the dirty girls. But you got to get your shoes off. Okay. Oh, beautiful. All right. So this is Finian Makepeace, a famous rock star and all a dear friend, and also an incredible advocate for soil health and regenerative agriculture. Yes, so you are my hero. And my other hero, Ryland Engelhardt. These are the two men behind Kiss the Ground nonprofit. Kiss the Ground.
I think we saw a video of you teaching you how to compost.
That's
The game changer, right?
Game changer.
Taking the compost off the counter with all the stinky little bugs, put it in the freezer until you put it in the compost bin.
Yes.
It's a game changer.
My compost is coming along well.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm actually making it.
So we wanted
I'm so
to talk
excited.
about this soil.
Okay.
This is pretty regular soil. It's just collected really randomly last minute. But what we see here are these little, look at this little particle here. Why that formed is because the root of the grass was pumping sugar, carbohydrates out of the root system and creating this aggregate, which makes it so when water contacts this, it actually stays stable. It doesn't bust open and flood into the streams and make muddy water and reduce our soil. So it actually helps the soil.
When you were saying grass-fed soil, that's actually exactly what that is. That's actually grass-fed soil with carbon that came from the atmosphere is being captured by the grass and being fed to the soil, and that's what makes healthy soil.
And that's what the book that you guys wrote is all about.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's amazing to me is, like, have you ever seen two people be more excited or, like, more turned on about, like, dirt? And so, literally, you know, Josh and I, we've made, 5 movies about oil, right? And the only thing that's more boring than oil is soil. And somehow, these people got us not only to make a movie about it, but also write a book about it.
Well, it's a universe in here. Like, this isn't necessarily the healthiest soil. Like I said, we got this kind of last minute because we needed a plate of soil. But
that's
soil,
a solar system right
That's
there.
a solar system. I mean, in a handful of this soil, if it's healthy soil, you have more organisms than people who've ever lived on planet Earth. Wow. That's extraordinary. It's
right
That's
here?
wild.
We don't grasp that there's
wild.
life in this stuff that's so small, but it's working intricately together to make it so the ecosystem can function.
We know the term the bottom of the food chain. This is the bottom. Those hundreds of millions of little beings.
Billions, yeah.
Yeah, those are the bottom of the food chain.
That help everything
life
prosper, yeah.
creates the rest of life so that we can have life.
Okay,
Kissing the ground it's really important because we've marveled at the stars for so long, but we all think it's time that we start to marvel at the universe beneath our feet. That really is the reason that we get to exist on the planet in the first place.
Should we do it? Should we kiss the ground? Or should we kiss that, or should we kiss the actual ground? Okay, here we go. All right, everybody, we're kissing the ground. Bear with us. Here we go.
Mwah.
All right. Woo.
Yeah.
I'm all dirty. Woo!
So-
Yeah, tastes good.
This is great. We're
Yeah.
really glad to have your support. So tonight we're going live with the book. We're going to have a book reading, so everyone stay tuned out there because it's going to be really awesome. We get to read excerpts from the book.
Yep.
This book is amazing, really well written. We really encourage everyone to get the book. It is the...
Order it tonight.
Tonight.
Right now.
Right
Go
now.
online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Whatever.
Okay, so for those of you at home watching, your job right now is to go type in Kiss the Ground book. It's on, it's actually, there's a link to it on this page where you're watching this live stream. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Voila. Thank you, Zena. This is our amazing publisher right here. Yes.
Hello, buy the book, thanks.
Obviously, the publisher is the one standing back here trying to get people to buy the book, right? Thank you. She has an incredible Enliven Books. It's an imprint of Atria and Simon Schuster. So if it weren't for Zena, we wouldn't have this incredible book here tonight. So thank you, Zena. Thank you to Enliven and Atria.
Share this link so that all your friends can hear about what's happening, how the new environmental movement, this is the cutting edge of the environmental movement where it's moving into regenerative versus sustainable. Sustainable is a little old hat. We're moving into regenerative. This is what the book looks like.
Wow. All right. Yes.
Learning about how
need to-
regenerative
Yes,
is
we
the
need
new
to
way.
decarbonize our energy, but the big blind spot is we need to recarbonize our soil. And
Draw
that's-
carbon
that's-
into
that's
the
what's so
soil
exciting. That
helps
is
everything.
The offensive, that is the proactive approach that we can take moving forward so we can actually heal and regenerate our world.
That's right.
You guys need your own show, actually. You guys are actually like totally entertaining. You make
Soil-
dirt.
Soil talk.
soil talk. Yeah. I think dirty boys.
We're soiled.
I know. My brother says you need a shirt that says "I soiled myself. Ask me why."
That's good. I like that.
All right, we're just standing here talking to some dirty boys. For those of you who are just joining in, thank you. We are here in Marina del Rey at the Thrive Market, and we are here tonight to celebrate the book launch of Kiss the Ground, which is a new book that just came out today about how we can reverse climate change. Don't mind the barefoot dancing happening next to me here. And we are here tonight. We've got special guest Amy Smart with us here on the green grass carpet. And
For Amy Smart's
okay, oh good. Yes.
going to post and shout out.
Yes, you can find this on Amy Smart's Instagram, this photo right here.
And Michelle there in the middle. There.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, one more. All right, thank you. Okay, there's so many people. Thank you, guys. Actually, let's bring in, who do we have up next? Sure, I'm Rebecca Tickell.
Okay, and it's our REB.
ECCA. Yep. All right, Zena, come on. All right, come join us on the green grass carpet. Although, what do you think? Are you up for the challenge of taking off your boots? Okay. 2 different socks. You never know what you're going to get here tonight. So thank you for tuning in. We are in for an exciting night. We have a live show coming up after this green grass carpet. Inside, we have Amy Smart and Ian Somerhalder, Francis Fisher, and many others joining us here tonight. Rosario Dawson. They're going to be reading excerpts from the book Kiss the Ground. And I'm here right now with our fabulous publisher, Zena. Zena, thank you so much for being here tonight.
My pleasure. What an amazing night you guys have put together, and I can't wait to see the book hit the New York Times bestseller list.
Me too. I think we're I think we're number 1 in new releases in environmental engineering right now.
Yes.
Okay, that's not too shabby.
It's niche, but what we need people to do is read the book and do what it says to do, and we'll all be happier, healthier, and alive.
I know. Well, I remember when you didn't know much about this subject. And I remember Josh and I kind of strong-armed you, if I remember correctly. We were like, Zena, we have now I've become what Ryland's just was, which is somebody who's strong-arming someone to be like, you don't understand. Soil can save us. Yeah. And now you're like the biggest advocate for that.
I always thought it was just trees. I didn't realize the level food impact. I always thought it was, we have to plant more trees. We can't clear cut the soil. We can't do this and that. We have to plant more trees. That was the only thing I thought about. And now I know that it's through the choices we make with our food. That's the real answer. And plant the trees. But this is empowering because anyone can do it. 3 times a day.
With what they eat.
Or if you eat 6 times a day. Absolutely. You can actually revolutionize the way our carbon is removed from the ground and resequestered, and we can make this work. Yeah,
that's right. Well, you heard it from Zena, and it's absolutely true. We can sequester carbon by drawing it down into the soil, and that's what tonight is all about. It's all about, you're going to learn tonight what you can do 3 times a day, as you said, by making healthy choices with your meal, with regenerative meals. That's what we're talking about here. Food that actually helps reverse climate change and draw down carbon, instead of what most of our food does, which is actually release more carbon into the atmosphere. And I think a lot of people don't know that actually most of the legacy load of carbon that's in the atmosphere came from the ground.
Tilling. So no-till farming is getting its legs under it, and it's working, but we need more people to adopt it. No-till and organic and non-GMO. So.
Yeah. Okay. And tonight, for those of you who are at home, you won't be able to taste the yummy food we've got, but we've got a full regenerative meal happening inside right now. And in just a little bit, when we're done here on the green carpet, we're going to go inside. We're going to talk to some of the cool guests that are here. And then we have a live show with some of our awesome celebrity guests that are here to read bits of the book. And then there's a surprise after that, which I don't even think you know? Oh, no. Okay. You know about the surprise. Well, thank you, Zena. Thank you for making this possible. Yes. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Yes. Okay, welcome. Are these your authors?
Yeah, and my posse.
Okay, wonderful.
My girlfriends and my
okay, good. Tell us your name.
Melanie Benson.
Yes.
Natalie Ledwell.
Anita Morjani.
Wonderful. Are you guys here to kiss the ground? Absolutely. All right, let's see it.
Are we kissing that or that?
Well, your choice. Your choice.
What do we do? Are we all in on the ground, or?
We could all kiss this at the same time.
All right, ready? Okay.
Ooh, it's getting crazy over here. So, woo! All right, wonderful. Okay, great. All right, next up, we have a fabulous blogger coming to join us. Her name is Allison Teal, and she's going to be joining us here on the green grass carpet. I'm going to just snag her right now. Hey, Allison, you want to come over and join me? Welcome. Yes. Okay, fabulous. Wonderful. Well, yeah, so Allison, thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha. Good to see you.
Fresh off the surfboard.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Okay,
Exciting.
So for those of them watching at home, will you tell everyone who you are? Tell us about your blog and what
course.
it is that you are up to in the world.
Yes, I wear many coconut hats. I'm a filmmaker, environmentalist, and yes, I have Allison's Adventures online where I travel the world and make films that educate through entertainment. I was really excited to work with Kiss the Ground on a compost campaign recently, and now getting dirty.
That's right.
With the soil, saving the world with soil. So I'm just really honored to be here and excited to be talking with you and sharing how we can save the world through the earth. So it's pretty exciting.
That is exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. So where can people get your blog?
Yeah, well, you can check it out. Allison's Adventures, 1L. ALISONS adventures.com, and I'm going to be streaming tonight, so I'm keeping everybody updated on all the fun celebrities that are around and doing some behind the scenes, getting dirty with the celebrities, and just sharing with the world in a really fun and exciting way what you can do to help. So I think it's got to be fun, and I think we should kiss the ground.
All right,
should we do it? All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're kissing the ground, people.
Okay, here we
go.
Hawaiian style. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you to the earth. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Allison. Great to see you here. All right, I'll see you inside. Okay, our next guest is somebody you will definitely recognize. Her name is Frances Fisher. She is one of my favorite people. You would recognize her from Titanic and a slew of other incredible movies. She's also like the aunt that I never had, that I love so much. Come on over here, Frances. Yes. Yay. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, are we live?
Yeah, so right here,
okay.
we have people tuning in right now.
Okay, well, I just came from SAG-AFTRA where we're having a sexual assault informational led by Gloria Allred. So I had to tear myself away from that to come here because saving Mother Earth is even more important.
Wow. You always inspire me with the actions that you're taking to stand up for people and their rights, and not just people, but stand up for something. That's exactly what I'm talking about right here. You are a hero to me because whenever I've actually met you at an event for the environment. I can't even remember when that was, so many years ago. I know. I think you were in the car with Marianne Williamson at the time. And I was like, yeah, it's Frances. And we've been best of chums ever since. But I think it's because we both share our passion for doing something with our lives that really make a difference. And what's more important than saving our Mother Earth?
We start with Mother Earth. If we can't save Mother Earth, all the other issues are moot.
That's right.
Yeah.
So have you had a chance to learn about Kiss the Ground and the movement?
You know what? I'm here because I do want to learn along with everyone else. Obviously, Josh and you have told me a little bit about what your book is about and how important it is about, to have soil as opposed to dirt.
That's right. Yeah.
But I want the specifics, and that's what I'm here to educate myself about.
Well, we are so grateful to have you as a champion for the soil.
Yeah, and obviously, I know a lot about what's going on in the environment and climate change and how important the emissions are and, to not have factory farming and to rotate crops and things like that, But I know that your book is going to bring it all together.
Well, what's interesting? A lot of people watching, you may not actually believe in climate change. Actually, there's a large percentage of people out there that don't believe in climate change, and I don't take issue with that. The thing that's really interesting is beyond climate change, we have desertification, and that's something that everybody can relate to, whether you believe in climate change or not. We know farmers in the Midwest who have been farming land that their great-grandfathers farmed centuries ago, and they're experiencing desertification, and they're having to spend more money to put inputs onto that farm so that the food will grow, and so they are experiencing desertification, and amazingly, soil regeneration and regenerative agriculture can help those farmers as well.
Yes, so we can get back to what our grandparents had when we ate food from the soil that was nourishing because the soil had vitamins in it and essential ingredients that are not there anymore because of all the pesticides that are in the ground.
One of the things we explore in the book is the topsoil in America and how it was created by the buffalo. In the Midwest, they would go in a circle every year, and the Native Americans would follow them around in this sacred hoop or in this circle, and they would live with the buffalo, and the buffalo represented their life, and they took on the buffalo as like a part of their imagery, and when we came in and we kicked the Native Americans out and we took over that land, the first thing we started to do was to till. We started to till that rich, thick topsoil that made America so great. And after several decades of tilling, we ended up with the Dust Bowl. And that was because we had robbed the earth of all of its roots. I mean, they would literally just plow it up, and you would have these huge patches. They would just pull it right up.
All the buffalo, too. They just hunted buffalo and killed them and with no respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and all of that is covered in Kiss the Ground book, and you can buy that tonight and learn all about our great American topsoil and what we can do now. We're still in a Dust Bowl, amazingly enough. Here we are, 80 years later, and we're still dealing with the effects of that, and it's not getting better. So if we want to turn things around and have healthy food that's full of vitamins and nutrients, like you were saying our great-grandparents had, the first thing that we have to do is take care of that soil. So that's what Kiss the Ground book teaches people how to do.
That's right. And also I'm learning about how it's important to move animals around. It's like the chickens that scratch. They need to be outside to scratch up the soil and move cows from one pasture to another so that they can do what they do, because everybody's connected. Every animal is connected. They're not just there to provide meat for people who, could be vegans if they made a little effort.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting about this book is that it doesn't specifically tell people don't eat meat. What the book does do, Francis does. What the book does tell people to do is to eat better meat. If you're going to eat meat, if you have to eat meat, we're not telling you don't eat it. What we're telling you to do is eat grass-fed, pasture-raised, mob-grazed. So these animals that were on the land before we got here are a critical part of our ability to stay here on this earth. So we need to put them back on the land. We don't have to eat them just because they're on the land, but we need to put them back on the land. Whatever was there before we got here is what the land needs to look like now.
Yeah.
And there's a way for us to live in balance by bringing these ruminants back onto the land and having a whole ecosystem that we participate in versus the sort of wartime model that we're doing now. I mean, part of the reason we're in this situation is because after World War II, we took all of those chemicals that they were using in the Holocaust to basically kill people, and we decided instead of killing people, we're going to bring those over to the United States and put those on the field. And that's literally that Zyklon B that was used in Auschwitz then became a pesticide later on that we used to kill pests and weeds and all those other things that we don't want on the field. And then we brought in those giant tractors.
And when you think about it, it's like if you're going to put pesticides and poison on food and then you're going to eat it, that means you're eating the poison too.
That's right.
And animals the same way. If they're eating GMO grain and corn, that means that's what we're eating, and it's not good for us.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think, every time we eat a meal, we're voting. We're voting to either reverse climate change and draw that carbon down, or to put more of that carbon back up into the atmosphere. Every meal is a choice to regenerate the earth or degenerate the earth. And I know you've always been a huge advocate for people taking care of the animals and the land and our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All sentient beings have a right to live, Animals have feelings too, and they're not just here to provide us with meat and fur anymore. Back in the olden days, that was a different story. Yeah. But now, and the factory farming again, and the waste material that comes from the animals it's so horrible to think of these big, huge, vast areas that are full of cow poop. And it's not going into the earth. If you have cows on a farm, there's enough there. It fertilizes the ground, but not big, vast vats of cow poop. And I'm sorry.
No, I mean, what you're saying actually is really important. One of the main culprits that we accuse of climate change and greenhouse gases is cows.
Cows,
and
the burping and the farting.
The methane. And it's a legitimate argument because people are concerned that these CAFO-raised cows are emitting all this methane into the environment, and that is true. Yeah. But what people don't know is that in the soil, there's something called methanotropes. It's in the soil, and methanotropes, guess what methanotropes eat? Methane.
Methane.
Yep.
Oh.
In the soil, and when you put a cow on a free range and their head is down and they're eating grass, when they're burping or whatever, the methane out, that methanotrope in the soil immediately absorbs it.
It absorbs it.
And it's great for the soil. It's super healthy. So it's actually the opposite is true when you have cows out
when
ranging.
You have a certain amount of cows, not the thousands and thousands who are
standing in their own poop, basically.
Cowschwitz, my friend calls it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we need to get away from that model. So those of you who are there eating your hamburgers or your steak right now, you may be questioning, where is my hamburger or steak from? That is a very good question to be asking. No more CAFO meat. If you're going to have to eat meat, you need to eat meat that was grass-fed, not just grass-fed, grass-finished, because a lot of times people will raise cattle out in the field, but then when it comes time to sell that cattle, they'll send it off to a CAFO, and so it's not grass-finished. So you need to ask for grass-finished meat if you're going to eat meat. And then also consider the chemicals that you were talking about earlier that we douse on our food. In the United States, every year, 3 pounds of chemicals are sprayed onto our food in the United States per person.
Oh my God.
So for each one of us, they're spraying 3 pounds of chemicals on our food per person per year. It's a crazy statistic. And then we wonder why our soil is hurting. And why we're hurting.
So many people are sick and how the pharmaceutical companies are making billions of dollars a year on medicines for people because they're so sick. I always say that I spend more money buying organic food and growing it when I had my own garden, because I'd rather invest in my own health than spend money on medicine and doctors.
Yes, I'm with you. Well, next time you come up to Ojai, we'll pick some avocados from the trees and we'll eat it together. And I look forward to that, Frances. I love you so much. I know they want to see you too. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, I think they want to grab some. They want to grab some photos of you over here. Okay. All right, for those of you at home, guess who we have up next? We have James Kyson and Jamie Kyson here to join us on the red carpet. I say that loosely. Come on over. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My dear friend, James Kyson, his gorgeous wife, Jamie. These two are amazing. The first time I met you, James, here. Come on, actually. Let me put you on this side of me.
I'm definitely going to take my shoes off.
So the first, yes. Okay, everybody, it's getting real here on the green grass red carpet. So the first time I met you, James, you came to a screening of our film Fuel. Right. And in between, while you guys were watching the movie, I was actually out in the lobby watching Heroes on the laptop. And then when you're watching and then you were in that episode, doing your crazy your thing. And I remember I was like, we were obsessed with that show. It was the only show that Josh and I could watch together. And then I went back in and I was like, oh, holy, it's him, it's Andro, right? What was your name? Ando. That's right. Yeah, Ando. Yes.
I was at that screening because I was supposed to be at your big premiere with the green carpet and all, and I was out of town and I literally flew in and couldn't be there, and I remember emailing whoever sent out the press release. I was like, I would love to really see this film. I don't know why, but it really called me, and this was before I met you guys. And they said, well, we're having this really tiny screening at a Kodak room. You're welcome to come. And that's when I went, and if I hadn't been there, then I probably wouldn't have been able to kind of meet you guys and talk. And I remember after the Q&A, I stood up and I was like, I would love to serve somehow and help spread the word.
I remember what you actually said. That was close to that. That was the sentiment of it. You said, well, I have 5,000 Facebook followers. Could that be helpful? And I was like, it's him! Oh my gosh!
5,000 now is the most pathetic.
Well, that's the max.
That was 10 years ago, actually. I think Facebook had just come out, so that was a big deal then. And I love you both so dearly. Thank you so much for being here tonight. For those of you that don't know, Jamie is an incredible singer. And where can people get your music?
You can find my music at jamaemusic.com, so JAMAE music.com.
Yes, all right. She moves my soul every time I hear her sing. And these two beautiful people are two of my favorite people on the planet. Their hearts are so big. And
so Jamie's going to read with me tonight.
Oh, fantastic.
She's our resident scientist, which is our other superpower. So because our section has some really cool science in it, I thought it would be nice for Jamie to kind of read some of the sciencey part.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
Sitting in the car, and James is like, wait, you should do this with me. I'm like, okay.
Awesome. All right, well, I can't wait to hear you guys read inside. Would you be up for Kissing the Ground? I know that's sort of the theme of tonight. Perfect. Okay. All right, you got. I know. Look at these two beautiful people actually kissing the ground. All right. While they're over here taking photos, I'm going to introduce our next guest here live on the green grass red carpet. And for those of you just tuning in, thank you. You're here with us live in Marina del Rey at Thrive Market for the launch of the Kiss the Ground book. And next up, we have Tiffany Page joining me here on the carpet, a fabulous blogger. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Take my shoes off.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I can
take my shoes off.
Is it? Smells good.
Do it the right way.
That's right. You didn't realize what you were signing up for.
Pretty woman of us. Right? Take these bad boys off. Give my little feet a rest anyway. Okay.
All right.
Fantastic.
The jokes never stop
Did you
here.
need a sip? It's
Yeah. What do we have here?
I got a little organic wine. I brought my reusable cup.
Great. Nice. Look at you. You brought your own cup.
I know. I wish it could collapse a little bit because carrying this in my purse is not the easiest in an evening bag, but
Okay, wait a minute. Let's just stop the presses. All right. Do you at home realize that she brought this cup to the event because?
Because I don't I never know if they're going to have plastic cups, and those red Solo cups, I mean, forget about it. Those are my, they're forget about it. So I use this if I can, and, if there's glass, great, but then I have a backup if they don't.
Yeah, so why is it important not to use single-use plastic?
Oh my gosh. So I went on a plastic pollution research expedition, and I sailed from Bermuda to Iceland, and we studied the North Atlantic gyre. So gyres where all the currents come together, and you'll see a lot of trash. You might have heard of something that looks twice the size of Texas with all this plastic. So there were all these little microplastics in the water, and that's just on the surface. We took 32 samples, and it was really part of a global estimate of 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in our world's oceans. So they say there'll be more plastic than fish. So just using a plastic cup and then disposing of it is a big deal. It doesn't necessarily get recycled, or it doesn't become another plastic cup. So,
well, kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for bringing your own cup. I mean, as somebody who considers myself, environmentalist and activist, I mean, this really...
A little hardcore maybe, but...
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm totally down with that.
Plastic pollution is a big deal for me.
Yeah,
But
not only that, but it gets into our bodies. It gets into the food chain. Also, when we drink from plastic, we're drinking in BPA and whatever else is...
It's a big deal. It's an endocrine disruptor. And then I have people I was like, well, what is an endocrine? We don't even know what our endocrine system is, but it regulates our thyroid. It has to do with your whole female reproductive system. It's a big deal. So it plays a huge part in your body and wreaks havoc on your body if you have too much of it in your body.
So can we see your trip to these giant gyres?
You will be able to soon. I'm working on it. Yes.
And where can we see it?
greenwoodtiffany.com, and I'm on the social platforms, and I'm thrilled to be here to support not only Thrive Market, but of course Kiss the Ground and the book. Something so simple. It seems like a simple solution, right? Healthy soil, can sequester carbon and really make an impact on climate change. It's just going to take all of us to really get the word out there and have the awareness be raised that this is something that will benefit not only the climate and the environment, but your health. You'll have nutritious soil, nutrient-rich soil, that then you'll have, amazing food that will be vital to you as well. So it's win-win for us. So Anyway, very excited to be here.
Tiffany, thank you so much for being here tonight. Cheers to Kiss the Ground. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So the countdown is on. The show is going to be starting in just a few minutes inside. We're going to be meeting some other very special guests that we have here. I think I just saw Ian Somerhalder walk in, so he'll be here on the red carpet with us in just a few minutes. And if any of you have questions at home about what is Kiss the Ground or what we can do to regenerate the soil, go ahead and type it in on Facebook, and while the show is happening, I'll make sure that we get your questions answered. And for those of you just tuning in, we are here in Marina Del Rey, live at the book launch of the book written by my dear husband, Josh Tickell, called Kiss the Ground. Actually, I'm going to bring Nadia on right now. Come on, Nadia. Yes. This is it happens to be my best friend, but she also is a fabulous woman, and I wanted to give a shout out to what you're doing, because the work you're doing is so important.
Thank you.
Josh and I, we tend to be more in the environmental category, but Nadia and her husband, they have a company called
Elevate.
Yes, and tell us what Elevate is.
Oh gosh, Elevate, we're a media company that creates inspiring, positive, elevating media.
Yes.
So it's all about transformation. From the inside out. So,
and where can people find you?
Elevate.us, and also on our Facebook. Mickey Willis is my husband, my amazing husband, and Nadia Salamanca Willis. So you can catch us there.
Yes, thank you, Nadia.
Thank you.
I love you. Thank you
love
for
you
being here
too.
tonight. Awesome. All right, so go check it out, Elevate. They are incredible. Their content is just amazing. All right, and we may actually take this show on the road here in just a second. We might go inside and see what's happening at the party, because I don't see our dear friend Ian Somerhalder. He's around here somewhere. He went inside? Okay. Oh, yeah. Is he around? Oh, okay. Josh Tickell, my beloved, is headed here to join me on the green grass carpet right now. Maybe we can even get him to take his shoes off. And he's going to tell us why we're all here tonight. Hello.
Hey,
all right.
Hey.
Mwah. How's it going?
It's going well. This is an amazing evening, obviously. Very excited. Very honored to be here on the red carpet with a green carpet. Yeah. Such an incredible host.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful crowd tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So has anybody given you any feedback tonight? Have they read the book, had a chance to read the book, or has anybody said anything about what they think about the book? Are you kind of nervous to hear what people think?
They say not to judge a book by the cover, but luckily this book has a great cover. It actually feels a little bit like soil, or it feels like earth. So the tactile experience of the book is very good. And, kudos to Amazon. People had the book on their doorstep this morning. So on social media, people have been posting pictures with the book, starting at, 6 a.m., I guess. Yeah.
All right. So tell me, why did you write this book?
This book actually started as a guide for the editors of the Kiss the Ground movie. I didn't intend to write a book. I intended to write some sections for the editors so that they could kind of follow along and understand, okay, this subject, this interview subject, this, turned into a few chapters, turned into several chapters, turned into Xena Musica at Enliven, seeing the book and saying, yes, we'll publish it. And went, oh my gosh, we got a book. Yeah. Here we are.
Talked to her earlier.
Yep.
All right, so for those of you watching, this is Josh Tickell, the man in person. This is my husband also, and my partner, my directing, producing partner, and he is the author of the book Kiss the Ground, which if you haven't already ordered it yet, please go right now and get your copy so you can learn also how what you eat can help draw carbon back down into the soil.
And if you have ordered it, and now is the time to speed read the book and leave a 5-star review on Amazon, because that makes a huge difference over the course of the next several days. Now tonight, in just a few minutes, I think we're about 15 minutes away, we have major guests who not only committed to coming, these are incredible environmental warriors. They are here. Ian Somerhalder, Rosario Dawson, Frances Fisher.
We just talked to her a minute ago.
Amy Smart. I mean, my goodness, like powerhouses of Hollywood stardom and talent who are really here because they care about the earth. Yeah.
And can you tell guests, give them like one brief synopsis. What is Kiss the Ground?
So Kiss the Ground is a movement, not to save, but to restore the soils of planet Earth. We've lost a third of our soil in just 30 years. And what's important about that is soil's where we grow our food. So we're losing soil, we're increasing our population. That's not a good scenario. We need to increase our soil so we can grow more food, but also soil is the biggest carbon sink. So we want to increase the health of our soils, sink more carbon into the earth, and really that's the revolution we're talking about. That's the movement. So it's a book, it's a movie that's coming next year. You don't want to miss that. And, of course, it's a nonprofit, kisstheground.com. You don't want to miss them. You want to donate to that nonprofit, get on their mailing list as well.
Yeah, awesome. Great. And tell me, what can viewers at home do? What's the action that everybody can take to actually support Kiss the Ground, to support that soil health and to bring our soil back to life?
Yeah, well, first they can get a book. Shameless self-promotion. Yes. Seriously, what we talk about in the Kiss the Ground book is that eating choices matter, that we change the agriculture through what we eat. So when we talk about soil, how do you care for soil? You care for it by not tilling it. You care for it by putting cover crops on it. You care for it by doing these new practices of agriculture. Well, most of us live in cities. So how do we affect agriculture? We do it 3 times a day. So the book really outlines a regenerative diet, not vegan, not vegetarian, not paleo, just a lens through which to look at your food choices, no matter where you come from, that you can help support soil around the world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what are some things, like, if you had to tell people do this and don't do that, what would be the top, I don't know, like 5 things that you would tell people to do?
Well, the top thing is don't eat meat that comes from a confined animal feed operation. 90, 95, maybe 99% of the meat in the United States comes from confined animal feed operations. They produce a tremendous amount of greenhouse gas, very, very, very deleterious to your health, to the health of the animals. We don't want to eat that meat, and we really want to create consumer demand away from that permanently. So that's number 1 thing you can do. Number 2 thing you can do, you can support the movement to mid-scale organic farms. I'm not talking about huge farms, although those aren't bad, but the farmer that you get to know who's at your farmer's market, that person's at the farmer's market because they need you to buy their product. You can have a dialogue with them. You can really get engaged in where your food comes from. So I'd say those are the top 2 things people can do.
Fantastic. All right, and so at home, you heard it here live. You, with the choices you're making on a daily basis, can actually help draw that carbon out of the atmosphere and put it into the ground where it belongs.
That's right.
Yes,
All
awesome.
right.
Well, thank you for writing the book.
You're welcome.
I'm personally.
Thanks for your support in
Yeah,
getting the book written.
yeah. Well, I mean, tell the audience at home what that is.
Many sleepless nights for this woman. Taking care of two very small children.
Yes. Yeah. It's actually amazing that I'm able to form sentences right now because I've been.
Yes, or stand up. Yeah. But here you are.
And here we are.
Talented as always.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
I love you, and I can't tell you how proud I am that you wrote this book. I remember when you came home and you said, I really want to write this book. And I was kind of like, okay, all right. But I saw something I heard something in your voice, and I saw something in your eyes that was the thing that had me fall in love with you in the beginning. And that was this deep-rooted desire to make the world a better place. And I knew that you could do that by writing this book. And I know it sounds trite, but when I see you lit up like that, when I see you writing or directing or doing something like that, that really is going to help hundreds of millions of people. I guess the 7 billion people that we have on Earth right now. I mean, that's the thing that just absolutely makes me love you. So thank you. Sorry for being cheesy, but I had to say that I'm proud of you, honey.
Thank you. It's all teamwork. Love you too.
All right, well, go and. Wait, we need to get photos. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. All right. Yes, we're a couple. We'll take. All right. Bear with us at home as we take some photos here.
Scoot you guys over a little bit so I can cute. Okay. And congratulations on the book.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
And for those of you at home, you should be looking up Kiss the Ground book right now if you're not doing that. It's a great opportunity to go and buy your copy.
Buy your copy and get ready in about 5 or 10 minutes. We have an amazing show. We're switching cameras. We're going inside Thrive Market headquarters. You're going to see inside one of the most progressive food companies in the country. And you're going to get amazing insights, not into just food, but into the world of the soil where we can actually reverse global warming. Very exciting.
I think we're going to take the show on the road in just a minute. Come inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it through the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do.
Why don't I?
Oh,
Want to be by yourself?
single.
Yeah, why don't I
Yeah,
trade?
here, I'll come
This
over
one,
here.
this one. Yes. Here we go.
All right, Richard Green. Hi. Here, come tell our audience where they can learn about you and all that you do. The first time I met you, this is Richard Green, everybody. The first time I met him was at his place in Sundance, the place you were staying when we were there premiering our first film, Fuel.
Yes.
And you put Josh on your show. What was the name of the show?
It's called Hollywood Clout.
Hollywood Clout, yes.
And it was on Air America.
That's right. It was a big deal.
And the thing is, I had never met Josh. I'd never met you.
Yep.
And I've done radio for 7 years.
Yep.
And it was that one interview, that first interview was one of the best interviews I'd ever had. And my daughter was there, Kiara, who you know, and we both were talking afterwards about how amazing Josh was, how amazing the film was, how amazing the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And to this day, I will never forget that interview. And to see where it's come is extraordinary.
I honestly feel like this all of that led us here. This is really the most important thing we've ever done. I mean, it's something that affects everyone. And of course, your daughter Kiara, she was our intern and our production manager for how long? I don't know, like 2 years or something like that.
A year was one of her favorite experiences,
and
and now she's at Gratitude Cafe.
Awesome.
And I do think that if you guys did nothing more than just Fuel, that film alone is like an incredible contribution, and really, I think it stands the test of time.
Well, wait till you see what we've got coming up next. Kiss the Ground, the
see
movie
it.
is coming out next year, and I think it's gonna rock. It's gonna rock the world.
Buy the book.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next up we have a very special guest, another good friend of ours, somebody that I met in Venice when we first moved there a decade ago. He's somebody that is from my husband's home state of Louisiana, and he's been a champion through his foundation, the Somerhalder Foundation. He's been working on important issues, and we have him here, lucky enough tonight, to join us on the red carpet. Hey, Ian, I'm summoning you over. All right. Oh, and Ian is
I
in.
need to borrow this when I go home before we leave. My dog kind of ruined
Can we snap some singles really quick?
Well, hold on one second. We're going to connect first. So first of all, congratulations, you're a new father.
I am.
I am
Here,
so.
Get this. There you go, just so it doesn't whack you. Okay.
So how old is your? You have a
little girl.
A little girl. What's her name?
Bodhi.
Bodhi. And how old is Bodhi?
Bodhi Soleil. She's 15 weeks today.
Wow. And how do you feel?
Amazing. Amazing. It's really an amazing thing. And to be honest with you, we, this is, I've seen this through and you guys for so long, but we're exhausted and running 5 companies, and I just could not imagine not coming to not be here to support these guys and this incredible movement, I met you so many years ago when you guys were doing Fuel, which initially was Fields of Fuel.
That's right.
And look what that did. Yeah. And there's no doubt about it that this will do the same, if not exponentially more, because it's a lot easier to grasp. It's a lot easier to conceptualize and actually to live by.
Yeah. Save the soil, save the world.
Save the soil, save the world.
That's exactly right. And I'm sure now, I mean, Josh and I, we have 2 small children. We have a 3.5-year-old and a thank you, and a 9-month-old.
I got to hang with your little guy.
Oh, you did?
Little guy in Ojai.
I don't even remember that. I'm so sleep deprived. I don't even remember. Was I there?
Yeah. You and Josh. You handed him over to
Oh,
me.
that's right. Second child, that happens when you have 2. The first one, you like coddle, and the second one, you're like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, here you go.
Some random stranger. Here's my baby.
So proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Well,
you and Josh are really doing
but doesn't it take it to a whole new level once you actually go through the process of bringing a human into the world? Suddenly, like what the world looks like in 100 years or 50 years suddenly becomes like a whole new thing. I mean, when your daughter was born, did you think about what her future was going to be?
Every second of every day. And to be honest with you, it's so funny. It shouldn't take having a child to wake you up or really make you want to be mobilizing. Excuse me. I think it was horsehair.
Were you riding horses?
Horsehair, yeah. And
hair
and dog hair. And
awesome.
But I guess the long and the short of it is, you shouldn't have to have a child to recognize that there is an immediate need for soil regeneration and what the regenerative purpose of that does for the overall health of the planet. And so that's why I'm so excited to be here and to share this with you guys, and to be here with my Thrive Market family, and to say this is something anyone and everyone can do and live by so easily. It's simply about choice. Yeah. And it's not some, need I say, it's not some West Coast liberal hoopla. These are simple things that you can do in your life. It's just about food choices. Yeah. And about using whatever even spare change you have to making sure that whether it's the vendors or not only the farmers, but companies and individuals around the country and around the world understand these principles.
Yeah, and I think what you said is, you raised an important point. It's not just something that affects us West Coast liberals, or, we're often in a bubble here. And one thing that I mentioned earlier is that, farmers in the Midwest are experiencing the result of this. And, I had also mentioned, you don't have to believe in climate change to believe in this movement, because it's a fact that we have more carbon in the atmosphere. We need to draw it down, and soil can help us do that. But these farmers who are out there in the Midwest, they're experiencing desertification. And actually, we've desertified 2/3 of our planet. Right. And that's a scary thought, because if you've desertified it, that means no water, no plants, no life. That includes human life. And it's a fact that when you desertify areas, it leads to violence and conflict. Thus, what was once the fertile...
Syria. Look at almost every conflict in the world right now. It's due to something that's dealing with cultural clashes over climate disruption. Trust me, I was fortunate enough to go to Dibangambe and spend time in Africa with Alan Savory, the grandfather of this type of thinking. And so I'm acutely aware of it. I've studied it. Actually, I have probably 75 hours of footage from Africa with Alan. Maybe we should get together and we should cut that together.
Yeah. I wish I had known when we were cutting it. Maybe it could be, the film's not done, so who knows? Maybe
it's pretty special. Yeah. I mean, I have endless hours of interviews of Alan Savory and I literally in the African savannah. It's pretty. So, amazing.
For those of you who don't know, Alan Savory, he is an incredible. It's hard to explain his background. It's a bit controversial, but
wildly. But that's what makes him so amazing.
But why don't you sum up what you learned from him in your time with him?
Effectively, about in 1973, a man who had, in some ways, fought and liberated. Let me go back. He very briefly ran Rhodesia, which then became Zimbabwe, and he effectively in 1973 was warning the world that due to practices, we were going to start a massive basically case of desertification globally, and no one listened. And he has come up with principles and ways to reverse desertification, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've lived it on his farm, which really is a national park in Zimbabwe. Living in a little military tent with elephants and lions walking around, and I've seen it with my own eyes. And soil regeneration is the single most important thing right now for carbon. We have to sequester carbon, and it's the Joshes of the world and you of the world and the Alan Savorys of the world who can literally put this together and heal it.
And so, and Alan's thinking is that by adding animals to the landscape that were there before we came in and moved them out, right, that they can reverse desertification. And so, did you learn in depth what that process is?
The principles were, before human interaction, the hooved herding herbivores of the world tilled the soil, and their excrement basically fertilized all the soil, and they moved along and basically regenerated the soil. But humans came along, we replaced everything with fire, and we also erased all of the natural predators. The lions, the cheetahs, the hyenas, the wolves, etc. So if you think of the Great American West, there were, I think, 30 million buffalo when the settlers got here, and they reduced them to merely several thousand. Great American way.
And that's what provided us with all of our great topsoil that we had.
It provided us with a tremendous amount of topsoil, and regenerative ways are the way for regeneration of the great American West. Mm-hmm. So if we can figure out collectively how to apply these principles, this is I'd say not even bipartisan, this is a nonpartisan, secular understanding of what soil regeneration can do for the earth. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with liberals and conservatives. This is actually the way to live. So,
the common ground issue, yes.
Common ground
Finian Makepeace pipes in. Yes, thank you.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Common ground issue. I like that.
Now, it's interesting. I'm first of all, wow, you spent all that time with Alan Savory, which is incredible. My question is, so when you bring these animals onto the land, and actually maybe this is something Finian can help answer too. So when you bring these ruminants back onto the land, or whatever the native species was, ruminants, which we used to have way more of than we have today. I think several of them have gone extinct, many of them. How do they get water? That's sort of the big question. So when you're bringing all of these, and maybe Finian, you can pipe in too. So when you're bringing these ruminants back onto the land,
Hey man.
Oh.
How are you?
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure, man.
We always appreciate
I know the name, and I'm really
Yeah,
grateful
here.
for
everything you're doing.
Yeah. So how do these animals get water? I guess this is something I should have thought about
really
before.
Phenomenal thing that happens. So when we're talking about soil regeneration, it's always an important thing to look at what does building soil mean. When we build healthy soil, an aggregate or a humate, if you will, soil organic matter can hold 20 times its weight in water. So these are nature's sponges that were evolved for 500 million years. Nature evolved these perfect sponges. So when we have hydrated landscapes, what we can do is when it rains, it's not just the amount of water the soil can hold to keep the grasses growing throughout the season, but it's also how the water moves through the soil. So when we don't have aggregated soil and we don't have living plants, when we have desertification, the water just runs off. Like in LA, we lose 1.7 billion gallons of water in an hour when it rains. So that's when we realize that's happening in the landscape. We can say when we aggregate the soil, when it rains, it infiltrates and we create new springs. 30 yards down the way, we have a new spring that
popping up.
Right.
Brand new
everywhere.
water. We can rehydrate and literally regenerate our water cycles, not just bring carbon into the soil. We can literally have new water cycles coming in, small water cycles coming in to places that were desertified.
So when you do that, so you bring the ruminants onto the land. So what is their water source at first?
Well, sometimes in cases in the United States, sometimes you are providing water source.
You are providing some water.
Yeah.
And it is actually, when you really get down to nuts and bolts of the logistics of it, it's simple yet it's complex.
Yes.
And in the sense of
you heard it here first, people.
Right. Nature, yeah. Well, you're mimicking nature. It's like what Alan says. You mimic nature, and so you keep these herds together. You keep them together. You keep them in one area, then you move them. But you are in the initially you are providing water for them.
Yeah. But how quick it happens is amazing. Some people out there not realizing that in the course of 1, 2, 3 years, you can literally have brand new springs coming back in areas that were depleted
that haven't for the last half century.
And that's where we say if all the water is just running off or evaporating, we're losing all of that water. Alan
well,
talks about that a lot.
Another big issue is that when you have soil that has maybe perennials will continue growing, but where there are no annuals, another problem is that when water hits soil, primarily rain, when it evaporates back in the atmosphere, it carries what with it? It carries carbon.
Yeah.
So it's a double whammy.
Double whammy. So we got to get the grasses going, and then we can rehydrate because we're building those soil aggregates that are literally making water come back to.
All right. Well,
we do have to get inside.
All right, we're headed inside in just a minute. I know Ian's going to. Yep. Ian's going to take a. Oh,
Yes.
there goes our sign here. I want a photo with you.
You're awesome,
love you,
sister.
Ian.
I love you too.
Yes, okay. One for me.
Go for Amy first. Yeah, guys. So real quick, guys. And for Michael. Ian, can we grab a couple of quick singles?
Yeah.
I'll see you inside.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I can't wait
you're
to.
such a gangster.
Aw, here. Here, you want me to hold it for you?
Yeah, right? I can do that.
All right, we're going to go on the road. We're going to travel with the book into the party inside. So hang on, let me get my shoes on. Hold on one second.
Oh, that's so awesome. Hold on one second.
Okay, crossing. All right, everybody. All right, we're headed into the party now for the big show. Super exciting. We're going to travel. All All right. So this is Thrive Market. If you have not heard of Thrive Market, it is an alternative where you can have your food and your groceries mailed to you at your home versus having to go to the grocery store. We have used this incredible service, and it's wonderful. All of our organic foods show right up at our front doorstep. We don't have to leave the house, which is great as a mom of 2 young kids. All right. Oh, look who we have here. We have Sarah. This is Sarah Engelhardt. She's a part of the Kiss the Ground organization. Her husband founded it. He's actually the one that roped us into this whole thing. Yeah, so it's all your guys' fault, actually.
Thank you so much. So amazing, the work you guys are doing. I'm so excited about this book. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, and actually, Sarah lives in our old house in Venice. Not that you guys care, but I always think that's so funny. Thank you. All right, here, who are we going to see next? Let's see. We have a plethora of regenerative alcohol and foods. We're going to have to take a look at that. Let's come on over here. Let's see what we've got. All right. Oh, here we go. Hey. Okay. Yes. Okay, so tell everybody who you are and what it is that you brought here tonight.
Well, my name is John, and I am with Golden Coast Mead. These guys, we make a regenerative libation.
Let's take a look at it.
Oh, this is the one. This is the one right here you want to see.
That is beautiful. Look at that. All right, and tell everybody what it is, like how is it made, and why is it regenerative?
This is regenerative because it comes from the bees. It's just honey, local wildflower honey with local spring water brewed here locally, delivered to you with a little bit of magic. And I want to introduce to you right now our R&D guy who delivered this, who made this for us.
You made that? Can we try it?
Yes, you may.
All right, let's try it. All right.
Chris.
Hi, Chris. Hi. Say hello.
Hi. You talk to the camera.
Yes.
So what a wonderful event.
Oh,
first
thank
of all.
you. Okay. Are you going to join me and have some?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. There we go. Okay. Cheers to the bees.
The bees and
Yes,
the earth.
And to the earth.
Regenerative beverages.
Yes. Let's see. Wow. That is amazing. It's effervescent.
It is.
It's delicious.
Got probiotics in that one.
Yeah, it's very good. You know, we have a 5-acre avocado ranch, and we had 2 hives of bees actually, and one of them had got colony collapse when our neighbor sprayed their orange groves, and our bees, and then the other set of bees, they didn't die, but they just flew away. So I'm very sad right now because our bees have left us.
Chris,
do you guys ever run into that? Have you had any colony collapse?
Absolutely. So what we're doing is we're combating the colony collapse through raising the beekeeping industry and paying top dollar for the best honey that we can get our hands on that's raised locally in a regenerative fashion. So the bees don't need monocultures to produce the honey. They just need a local, healthy polyculture ecosystem, and then we drop those bees on top of there, and those bees make some delicious honey, and we take that honey and put it with some local water and sprinkle some little magic fermentation on there, and now we have a regenerative beverage. We do not need thousands of miles of grapes, wheat, barley, what have you. All we need is local, healthy ecosystems. It promotes what do we call it? Biodiversity.
Exactly, yes. And before we were here,
the bees were here.
They were hard at work.
And so what we're doing here is giving back to the earth and giving back to the study of the colony collapse. So solving that issue of people are spraying. And right now what's happening in the industrial world is the way we're producing food agriculturally is that we're putting those bees under stress.
Chronic stress.
A lot of stress. And so they're moved from place to place to place, and what ends up happening is they get sick, they get stressed, and then parasites grab onto the bee, and it's like the size of like a rabbit onto your neck, like that in scale. Time to go. So, in any case,
all right, well,
mead is good for the planet.
Everybody, you've got to try it. It's mead. It's Golden Coast mead. You've heard it here. It's from San Diego. It's absolutely delicious. Definitely recommend it at home. All right, the show is about to start. So head on in with me. Come on this way. All right. Oh, look, we found Lauren. Lauren. Okay, hold on. Let them catch up to us. This is Lauren Tucker. She is the executive director of the Kiss the Ground nonprofit. And we are so excited to be in this boat with you, the Kiss the Ground boat, and to be promoting this message. You are truly my hero for the work that you do every day. Yeah, so tell people a little bit about the Kiss the Ground nonprofit.
Yeah, so our nonprofit was founded 4 years ago, and our mission is to inspire people to restore soils because we really see this as a movement that so many of us can get involved in. And we do a lot of storytelling work. We have an educational curriculum for middle schoolers. And we work with businesses and their supply chains, and we're also looking at how we support farmers to transition.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And amazingly, the Kiss the Ground nonprofit actually is located where we used to have our production office. And so it's so amazing to come back and see what you guys have. Yeah, but it all started in a garage, but that's the truth. I wasn't actually going to not say that. I was going to let people think that it was like this.
Beautiful garage.
And it's always amazing to go back because you guys have put planter boxes outside, and it's just open for the public. And so you guys have planted food right there in the curb on the streets. And so who eats that food? Anybody do that?
Yeah, I mean, anyone can eat the food on the street, but the planter boxes are mostly for the people who live there. But sometimes we grab them for the office too. Yeah.
And it's amazing. I love that. I love coming back there. I sneak a little bit every time I'm there, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to. All right, the show's about to begin. We're going to head on this way. Thank you, Lauren. All right. Look at all of the people here tonight. We're coming in for the live show. Running into friends. Mwah. Elizabeth Leahy, Christian. Mwah. Love you guys. You guys are live. Yep, this is Elizabeth and Christian and Aaron, our dear friends.
Ajo, aquí estamos. A todo. Congratulations, Rebecca.
You
look
yes.
wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
That's not supposed to be live. No, you look wonderful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a great party so far. We're going to keep going. Oh, thank you. Love you guys. All right, come on with me. Hi, Rosario. All right, she's going to be reading a little bit from the book. All right, come on with me. Let's see. Oh, we didn't get a chance to speak to Gunnar. Here, let's go find him. Come on this way. We're going to go find the man himself in charge of Thrive Market, Gunnar Lovelace. He has generously allowed us to be here tonight, and he's an associate producer on the film Kiss the Ground, and he is promoting regenerative practices all over the world with your incredible Thrive Market. So thank you so much, Gunnar.
So welcome. It's an honor to be here with you guys and really appreciate being part of this movement.
Yeah. So tell people how they can participate in regenerative agriculture through Thrive Market.
So we have this amazing offer set up where people can get the Kiss the Ground book for free, and they'll get $60 of organic groceries at Thrive Market, and it's a great way to support the book. And for everybody who comes in, we'll donate $20 to the nonprofit Kiss the Ground.
Fantastic. So in addition to getting healthy, organic, regenerative food at thrivemarket.com
/Kiss the Ground.
/Kiss the Ground, you can also get a copy of the book. All right.
For free.
For free. Yeah, don't want to forget that. All right.
Thanks, love.
We love you. We're going to see you up there in just a minute. Yes. Okay, it looks like the show is about to start. Let's see. How far away are we from this show starting? Couple minutes. Okay, good. Oh, there's Josh. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the green grass red carpet with me. It's been super fun. We're about to conclude that portion of the evening and start the live show. I've been your host, Rebecca Tickell, and it has been such an honor to be here with you. Let me see. Is there any last? You see them furiously getting ready for the show to start. Is there anybody else? Susie Scheinberg. Give a shout out to Susie.
Hello.
A dear friend. Oh, you may know her from Teen Wolf. She was the girlfriend in Teen Wolf. Fabulous.
Boof, right.
You got a huge cult following, don't you? Yeah. I know.
80s cult following, that's right. Yeah. You're so funny. And what were you in?
We haven't talked about that at all.
Let's talk about what you're in.
Okay, so when I was a girl, it's so funny. We were both like former child. Yeah, I was in a Christmas movie called Prancer, and I was the star of that movie when I was 9 years old.
I remember that one. I absolutely remember it. But we can't wait to learn all about Kiss the Ground right now, and regenerative farming and carbon sequestration. And Josh and Rebecca are stars, and we can't wait for them to tell everybody all about this.
Thank you, Susie. All right. Yeah, well, thank you for being here. And actually, Susie is responsible for the big surprise that everybody is going to see later. Okay. So thank you for that. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that we're going to. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Susie. All right, let me check on the status. It looks like we're about to get started over here. Look how nice and quiet everyone is being. Up, and here's James and Jamie. You guys want to make your way in? Come on. Hi, Rosario. Can I say hi to you real quick? I'm going to sit down. Okay, no worries. Okay. And this is Nicole. We're going to give a shout out to Nicole Landers, Nicole Landers Consulting. Thank you so much for putting this event on.
Let's talk about community healing gardens. So I started a nonprofit with Grant Got First, and we're all about building community through urban gardening. And we're working in Watts at a middle school. And we'd love for you and Josh to come out and talk about the book and the film and everything that you're up to. And it's a pleasure to always work with you, Rebecca.
Yeah. I love you, Nicole. Thank you so much for organizing this and making it happen. Yeah.
We're sisters.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Something is about to happen. All right. It looks like we're about to hand it over to Josh. He's going to be hosting the live show. We're going to be watching a clip of the book trailer and the future film Kiss the Ground. And we're also going to be hearing some live readings from the book. And then, as I've been teasing, a special surprise at the end. It looks like we are ready to go. Okay, so I'm about to hand it over to Josh Tickell. Thank you so much. Here we go. Over.
Welcome, welcome. Yes. My name's Josh Tickell. Hi. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you from my heart for being here. I know your time is valuable. LA is a busy place. Those of you who are watching at home, I know that you've got many options tonight for entertainment. You've chosen to spend tonight with us, and I want to thank you for that. Especially from the perspective of all of the little microbes and the earthworms and the whole planet, because that's really what we're here for tonight. We have a spectacular group of incredible, amazing soil lovers and soil warriors who are here for you tonight. And they're going to give you a little sample of the book that I had the honor of writing called Kiss the Ground. Now, Kiss the Ground is a movement. It's not just a book. It's not just a movie. There is a movie coming next year. But it's a nonprofit. And that nonprofit organization is dedicated to restoring the health of soils worldwide. One of the readers tonight, Ryland Engelhardt, is one of the co-founders of that organization. We're very, 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 very excited to be in community with Kiss the Ground. And you can learn more about Kiss the Ground online, kisstheground.com, #KissTheGround. Okay, so before we begin our program, most importantly, we're actually tonight broadcasting live from one of the most progressive food companies in the world. It's called Thrive Market. And here to tell us a little bit more is our host who's hosting us in this incredible, incredible location. His name is Gunnar Lovelace. He's a good friend. He's an amazing human. I welcome to the stage Gunnar Lovelace.
Hello, everybody. It's so great to be here. My heart is so moved by this conversation. And, it's been a total life dream to be part of creating Thrive Market as a co-founder. I want to thank everybody that was part of making this event possible. Amazing team, both inside the organization and also outside with Kiss the Ground and Josh's team. So just absolute gratitude for that. Our mission as a business is very focused on democratizing access to healthy food. And the way that we do that is we buy directly from the brands and we cut all the middlemen out in the supply chain. And that's a mission that's personally very important to me. I grew up really poor with a single mom, Latino immigrants, here illegally for 8 years as a child. And I saw how hard my mom worked to make healthy choices. And it always seemed crazy to me that food with lots of chemicals and processing costs less than food with no chemicals and processing. Imagine that. And so, when my mother remarried, my stepfather was running a food co-op out of a little hippie commune in Ojai, California. And so I see the original roots of the health food industry, from crystals and chakras to wheatgrass enemas. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I just did. And so, I always felt like there's an incredible opportunity to disrupt access to healthy food. And, as a student of social enterprise, I've been looking for an idea that transcends ideology and brings people together at scale around the common good my whole life. And I really believe that food is one of those issues. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what you believe, what the color of your skin is. People want to feel good in their bodies, and they want the same thing for their children. And when we help people access healthy food, when we help them access regenerative food, we're empowering them. We're dealing with some of the biggest economic issues of our time. We spend $300 billion a year just on diabetes-related illnesses as one of several major lifestyle diseases, and $400 billion. And that doesn't include all sorts of other downstream medical costs. That's Ian, by the way. So Ian saw our first office warehouse space, and he has been a total brother. Thank you, Ian. And deep love and gratitude to you and your beloved and Michael Pierce. And so, this amazing moment where agriculture has been such a part of the success story of our species, where we've gone from 1 billion people for the majority of our time as hunter-gatherers to 7 billion people, all with the birth of agriculture. 2 billion people at World War II, and 70 years later, we have 7.5 billion people on the planet. And so this very thing that has made us so successful is now poised to take us down. Studies show that we have 60 harvests left on the planet. 60 harvests left on the planet. And so this is an incredible moment where we stand at a razor's edge, and the conversation around regenerative agriculture is at the forefront of really building awareness around this critical discussion. So it's an honor to be here. It's a deep honor to host you all, and we have a great show tonight. So thank you all so much.
Gunnar Lovelace, Thrive Market, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for those of you who are on Facebook, who's not on Facebook? Come on, raise your hand. No, just kidding. How embarrassing. For those of you who are not on Facebook, you haven't probably seen what we're going to reveal tonight. Now, some of you got a sneak peek earlier today, and what we're about to reveal is already going completely viral across the internet. And when you see it, you'll understand why. Now, folks in the audience tonight who are physically here, this is an unusual event. Usually we ask you to, A, be quiet, B, put away your cell phones. We want you to be quiet, but we want you to have your cell phones out tonight because we want you sharing this incredible event with all of your friends. So here to introduce this labor of love is, again, your hostess with the mostest, the woman who is hosting our green carpet, Rebecca Harrell-Tickell. Come up to the stage. All right. Tell us what we're about to see.
So, great movies are often based on great books, yeah? And movies and books have the power to change the world. And that's why we're all here tonight, right? Yes. So Josh and I, for the last 4 years, have been co-directing a film called Kiss the Ground, based on the book. And what we're going to share tonight is going to give you a sneak peek at the film. It's the book trailer, and it is near and dear to my heart. And I also just want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. And for those of you at home who are watching, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are super excited to share this with you. Enjoy the preview.
Okay, here we go. Svet, we ready?
really did not know how the soil worked. It's alive.
All of our soils that are under chemical conventional agriculture are almost completely devoid of microorganisms.
These chemicals, which were considered way too dangerous to use before, are now being used at rates that would have been inconceivable 20 years ago.
Wherever there's large-scale agricultural production, you see way too much bare ground.
About 2/3 of the world is turning to desert.
We are literally killing ourselves with the food production system we have today.
Time is running short. We need to do something now.
Through agriculture, we have unleashed carbon from the land, and it's now up in the atmosphere. It's now part of that legacy load of carbon dioxide. And many people are coming to this discussion about soil health because it can bring that carbon back down and put it in the ground.
The only goal of humanity is drawdown, a year-to-year reduction in carbon in the upper atmosphere. Once you achieve drawdown, within 20 years, you have cooling.
There could be a permanent agriculture that regenerated resources.
The principles of soil health are universal. This is not rocket science.
If you look over here, we have my neighbor's land that has been chemical fallowed. Then you look over at our paddocks. You have a diversity of different plant species. You have insects, you have wildlife, plus the livestock grazing on it. There you have soil. Over on this side, you have dirt.
By definition, you can't have delicious food without something going very, very right in environmental stewardship and soil health.
Healthy soils lead to a healthy plant, healthy animal, healthy human, healthy water, healthy climate. It's not a campaign, it's a movement.
Which model do you want your food to be produced from? The answer is pretty simple to me.
Our health and the health of our planet are connected. We are all on the spaceship together.
Okay. And there you have it, the first of many sneak peeks of what is going to come. This revolution is very powerful because it's based on something universal. It's based on our need, our desire to sustain our species into the future. We are intimately connected with the earth. We're one. And none of us came here to fix a broken planet. We came here to build an amazing and beautiful and abundant tomorrow. One of the people who is dedicated to that beautiful tomorrow that we are all committed to is a man that you know from movies. He is often a vampire, but in real life, he is an environmental warrior. So I want to welcome to the stage for our first read, Ian Somerhalder. Ian, come on down. Great to see you.
So good to see you.
Thanks for being here.
So good to be here, man. I'm so proud of you. And I've known this man for a very, very long time. He and Rebecca, obviously, their work speaks for itself, but these are the environmental gangsters that we all want to be in this organized crime against the people trying to destroy us.
All right, buddy.
So should I read this?
Please do.
I haven't read this in a while, so I
Okay.
was so mesmerized by what you were saying.
Well,
It's like an actor's thing to want to memorize everything.
Yes. But it's, it's a, when I read a book with you, Ian.
I like that.
When I read a book with you, I think, it's about the spirit, it's about the intention, and I know as actors, it's about getting it right? But the earth, she doesn't care if you don't get it exactly right. She just wants your heart in it, and you have the most beautiful heart, and you're here, and I really acknowledge you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I'm going to let you to it, okay?
Yeah, thank
Great.
you. This is really...
Give it up for Ian Somerhalder, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. It's really amazing. I haven't read with this many lights in a very long time. By the way, I remember when Gunnar and Nick and Michael Pierce and my wife and I were sitting in a tiny little office. It was one of the first Thrive Market offices. The first one, which was 14,000 square feet, and I think we outgrew it in 2 weeks. It's really amazing to be here with all of you guys. And this mission statement right here, which is, to read perfectly, my mission is to make healthy living easy and affordable to everyone. When's the last time you heard that and it actually worked? Thank you, Gunnar. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So, at its core, this book is about food's ability to alter the world. The premise is simple. Our choice of foods will make or break our civilization. This daily choice holds more power than almost anything we do. Food is power. It is so powerful, in fact, that food is likely at the center of what caused the downfall of the previous 40 or so significant civilizations that have come before us. One could say that this book is about food, agriculture, soil, climate, and planet. But that would be missing the point. This is really a book about the whole system in which all things interact. Each of the aforementioned acts as one of many interconnected cycles within this system. For most of us, the access we have to altering those cycles is through what we eat. It's pretty damn simple, isn't it? This book is about people. Specifically, it's about the global movement of people who, due to their combined understanding of natural systems, could offer a new framework to feed humanity. In its simplest terms, the movement of which I am speaking is called regenerative agriculture. Hell yeah. While it will be better defined in the coming chapters, regenerative agriculture essentially means building soil through the 4 pillars of trees, managed herd grazing and compost, cover crops, and no-till agriculture systems. Since building soil requires tremendous quantities of carbon, regenerative agriculture holds the key to moving carbon that's currently in our atmosphere back into the ground. Yeah. Ultimately, we're nothing without soil. This isn't in the book, but it just says this is a big realization. I'm going to say this is a big-ass realization. It's so big that it's a hard connection to make when eating a bag of Doritos, drinking a Coke, or eating a Big Mac. Despite the fatty, salty, sugary, colorful, perfectly packaged, and easily bought world of food today, of our food today, soil is making a comeback in pop culture. I know, because I just took a picture with it outside. Never done that on a red, green grass carpet. 3 of the recent movies up for Oscars had soil as a pivotal plot point. In Interstellar, humanity has destroyed the world's soils, causing a global dust bowl. It's up to McConaughey can save us all. It's up to Matthew McConaughey to save us by finding another planet, one with soil still intact. In Mad Max Fury Road, the soil has also been killed, and it's Charlize Theron and her band of siren-like women who ultimately overthrow an oppressive male-dominated dictatorship to bring water and seeds back to life. Wow, it sounds like Washington, D.C. It's crazy. If these 2 weren't enough, Matt Damon makes a cool when he uses human feces as fertilizer to bring the dirt of Mars to life in order to become the first off-planet farmer in The Martian. So cool. Poop is valuable, guys. It seems as if the storytellers of our time are telling us something. These stories are part of our modern mythos. It turns out that for all of our gadgetry, we are still bound by the same contract as our hunter-gatherer ancestors. Soil gives us food, and in doing so, soil gives us life. We can go as far from the source as Mars, but ultimately Earth is our home, and without it, the substance we call Earth, we cannot survive. This is why humans will tell the same story in some form or another over and over and over again. It's why we show our children how to garden and how to farm. It's why they show us how to eat dirt and sometimes boogers. That wasn't in the book. I just had a baby and I'm just imagining her eating her boogers. Us and soil. It is a time-tested relationship. No matter how often we leave each other, we will always come back together. The Sufi poet Rumi, who I'm sure we all have bedside, who is no stranger to drought, is quoted as having said, "There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are hundreds of ways to go home again. The ground, otherwise known as the soil, is our home. No matter where we go, or how far we venture, or how long we live, we will always return home." And it is because of this, and because of the discoveries and the pages that follow, I have great hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we just hear another round of applause for Ian Somerhalder? He and his beautiful wife, Nikki, just had a beautiful baby. It is, it's that moment when you become a parent that you really get what's at stake at a whole different level, Just being connected to the beauty, the innocence, the beginning of life, and wanting nothing more than that life to continue infinitely for generations. Our next two readers are a male-female duo. You may know him as a hero on TV. You may know her as a published brain scientist. I want to welcome to the stage James and Jamie, and Dr. Jamie Kyson. Please come on up. Great to see you. Thanks for coming, Jamie. All right, so these two have decided that they're going to read a section together because we've got brains and beauty here, and you decide which is which. So you guys have decided based on the fact that this is kind of a science-y bit, but it's also a heartfelt bit, right? It's a heartfelt. Okay, so you got a plan.
Yes.
And by the way, you guys are real defenders of the environment. I've got to acknowledge you for that.
Oh, thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
I've been life journeying with Josh and Rebecca for the past decade, and every chapter of our journey, I've been so inspired from your commitment to renewable energy in the days of fuel. And
we were in Washington, D.C. together.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
I was on tour with you guys and literally risking their own lives to highlight the oil spill in New Orleans with the big spill, and watching you guys becoming parents and just the way you approach life is just, you're superheroes off the screen even more, and that I'm truly touched by. So it's been an honor. And
oh my God, I feel like you're reading a eulogy. We're just getting started.
We're just getting started, exactly. And that's the most exciting part about you guys, is that you are literally just getting started after 10 years of amazing.
We're all getting started. So let me let you get started, okay? Thank you so much.
So this part has some big science words. So I've asked my hot scientist wife to help me out.
Who thinks that science is sexy? Let me see your raise hand. Yeah, science is sexy. We're going to make this so sexy. The biology involved in biosequestration is complex and has heretofore been dismissed by the climate science world, which has thus far been limited to the atmospheric, oceanographic, and chemical fields. The fields of science are like silos. Chemists and biologists generally do not mix. Physics and chemistry being predictable, and biology being infinitely less predictable. The science of biosequestration has been slow to be understood and slower still to be accepted by the climate change science community. In general terms, carbon is present in all living things. To grow plants or crops or food, the more bioavailable carbon there is in the form of the dark, rich topsoil, otherwise known as humus or soil organic matter, the better plants will grow. For a long time, scientists have known that as plants and animals die and decompose, they can add to the topsoil. But as the higher resolution microscopes and more accurate instrumentation became available, biologists have been able to look beyond the macro layer of life, plants, leaves, and roots, and into the micro layer, fungi, bacteria, etc. That's where the real carbon action is. Woo! Yeah, carbon action. See, I told you science is sexy. Plants, through their roots, excrete carbon in the form of root exudates. These exudates feed trillions of microorganisms, which are involved in the extremely complex biological and chemical exchanges with the root systems. In a working ecosystem, carbon excreted from roots is carried through a series of handoffs through the upper pliable labile layer of soil as it moves into the deeper, more immobile layers of soil. It is eventually deposited in the form of organo-mineral complexes deep within the recalcitrant fraction of the soil. That's where it can stay for thousands of years.
Come on, give it up for my wife. I could not have read that. I would have been like, good soil, good. Bad soil, bad. That's what I would have said. Okay. Can you hold this, baby? Sure. Okay. Reducing the living world to numbers and chemicals has allowed humankind to build and do a great many things, but it has also hidden from us the effects of our industrial conquests. By looking only through the lens of inorganic science, the material, the man-made, we lose sight of that which flows and shimmers and runs and slithers and flutters and beats. Woo, that's poetry. Reducing the world to which we are intimately tied to simple mechanics gives us the ability to control, manipulate, and dominate, but it robs us of connection. When one is connected to life, one is aware of its birth, its vivaciousness, and its death. For the most part, the way we practice agriculture today is an extension of a mechanical view of the world. It is that same view that has shot our species forward on a path that has so far pushed 1,510 gigatons of carbon dioxide and correspondingly large amounts of oxides of nitrogen and water vapor into our atmosphere. But using the thinking that brought us the Industrial Revolution, these numbers are just more chemistry to be fixed, quote unquote, with yet another new technology. However, if humankind wishes to deal with its atmospheric carbon dioxide dilemma, we're going to have to move beyond inorganic thinking and into organic thinking. And my words, heart-based thinking. Thank you.
Give it up for the dynamic duo, James and Jamie Kyson. Thank you guys so much. Beautiful. Are you guys enjoying this? Yeah. Isn't it incredible to see the pages of a book come to life? I mean, you could literally take any book and these amazing people would make it come to life. But they have blessed us with their voices and their energy because they care about the earth too. You may know our next guest from her roles in movies such as Titanic. And she is a small but titanic personality. What you may not know about her is she is a powerful force, a defender of rights of Native Americans and women. I welcome to the stage the beautiful, amazing, articulate, and deeply beloved Frances Fisher. Can we get a book? Thank you.
Right here. Do I need a mic or can I just project?
As long as I'm close to you, you can. You know what?
I'll just hold it.
Do you mind if I hold the mic for you?
No.
Okay. Like I said, we go back a long way. So, Frances, the last time, and thank you, by the way, the last time we spent like a lot of time together was at Standing Rock, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to hold that?
Yes, I will, because you've got your own.
And
we were at Standing Rock last year at this time, actually. It's been, I was there on the 13th.
Yeah.
And you came right after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah. And as harsh as some of the realities have been that have evolved from that situation, I feel like those of us who were welcomed into the Native American community, I feel like we really got the bigger blessing.
Absolutely. I learned so much there, you guys. And I always tell this story. The first thing that happened to me is that I was hugged by the women there. And it's not, the old Hollywood hug is like, hey, Josh, how are you?
Is that the hug we just did?
No, it was kind of that way. But, it's a 20-second hug. That was happening there. And we couldn't use our cell phones, and there was only one place in camp that was called Facebook Hill, because that's the only place you could get reception, was on that little hill. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the camp was, you couldn't cell phone anybody. You had to go with your intuition. So if I wanted to find Ed Higgins, I would just think about him, and I'd turn around. There he'd be walking down the road. It was really amazing how we all got back to nature. Mm. And of course, what I learned also is that the First Nations people, they are our first environmentalists here in this country. And everywhere you go, you're walking on native land. The Tongva are here, and I've met a lot of them, and I've done ceremony with them, and it's a beautiful thing to know that despite the oppression and the colonization, that there are tribes all over this country that are still here. I almost said thriving. It's up to us to help them thrive. Yeah. They've been oppressed for too long.
Mm. Yeah. Now, we could talk about so many issues, couldn't we?
Yeah, we're
reading
your book, though.
We could probably fill an entire evening with important dialogue that needs to get out there.
But Mother Earth is the most important, because if we don't have Mother Earth, anything else is moot.
Right. She's the big mama.
Yes.
The big mama. And as Giselle Bundchen says in the Kiss the Ground trailer, and maybe the movie, the big mama. Now, what are you going to read about tonight?
Not too many big words, but I'm going to read about pesticides. The poisons.
Okay. Thank you for being a soil warrior, a defender, and just a rabble-rouser.
I love you, Josh.
I love you,
and
too.
Rebecca, too.
All right. Thanks, Frances. Take it away.
Okay. Pesticides are designed to kill. Every year, especially during the summer, during planting, we inject them into our ecosystem at a quantity that no society has ever done. Then these poisons bioaccumulate in plants, fish, animals, and eventually us. The vast body of evidence shows that over time, these same pesticides are killing us. The data suggests that poisons are in up to 98% of food. Sometimes it's in small doses and sometimes large. The USDA, the agency responsible for testing our food, does not test for the majority of the worst offenders of these poisons, including 2,4-D, glyphosate, or atrazine in the foods on which they are most sprayed, which is corn, soy, and wheat. Washington, D.C.'s revolving door, quote unquote, between big agriculture businesses, the regulatory agencies, and the Senate and House committees that are supposed to oversee them, leaves little in the way of citizen protection from these chemicals. With nobody to shield them, Americans are the guinea pigs in the largest chemical experiment humankind has ever undertaken. We're gambling our lives in a 1 billion pound per year toxic chemical, 324 million person roll of the dice. And the odds are stacked against us. If you're wondering why such a system continues despite the science, the ecology, and the economics that show that it is a disaster, look no further than our nation's capital. In a twist of fate, we humans reverse terraformed our planet from a web of balanced, interlocking, lush ecosystems into larger and vaster deserts. While Syria's climate refugee crisis may be grabbing headlines today, California's Central Valley food-growing region is potentially the next contender in tomorrow's headlines. And we're not alone. The nexus of agriculture, water shortage, and human suffering is writ large across India, China, Africa, and even in wet climates like Brazil. The ancient city-states of the Bronze Age may be dead, but they're still speaking to us. Walk amongst their rubble, and you'll hear the clear warning bells from the many civilizations that successfully practiced, for a time, desertification-based agriculture. Did I pronounce that right? It's the first time I said it out loud. Desertification? But desertification, not like decertification, but this is all going to be cut out. Right? Oh, shit, we're live. Oh, no. Okay. If they could speak. Oh, yes, the Bronze Age, city-states. If they could speak, the crumbling walls of their palaces and temples might tell us to beware of our hubris. We are now disrupting the small water cycle. Desertification. Oh. But it was an ing word. I'll start over. Okay, edit. Desertifying. We are now disrupting the small water cycle, desertifying the land, and causing soil erosion on the scale of megalopolis. Think Los Angeles, New York, Shanghai, Delhi, etc. With each megacity comes exponentially bigger mega farming. Today, the bare open land spaces around a city stretch for thousands or tens of thousands of square miles in every available direction. Think Central Valley. Our modern agricultural system may produce more calories than ever before, but our way of growing food is a limited time offer. Just as in civilizations past, the very food system that gave rise to our modern society now tilts on an ever-eroding foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Our next guest is one of the smartest actresses in Hollywood. You may know her as an advocate of the environment, as a new mom, and as a leading role in movies like The Butterfly Effect and Just Friends. Her name is Amy Smart, and there's only one of her. Welcome to the stage, Amy Smart.
Josh, thank you. Oh,
Great to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. This is exciting. I've just been your friend for a long time, a supporter, and you and Rebecca have just been the most excellent environmental heroes. And I love you guys, and I'm so happy to be reading from your book.
Well, I want to ask you a question. Thank you for being here, and thank you for reading from the Kiss the Ground book. And by the way, this is an amazing experience to have all these voices. If you want to get the audiobook, that's also available. And Amy, did you know that the audiobook for Kiss the Ground came out today?
Okay.
It's only 14 hours long. Yeah, which is good because if you're used to LA traffic, that's what? About the distance from one end of Lincoln to the other, right?
Exactly.
So you can listen to it in your car.
There you go.
Okay. So what's it like being a new mom? You've been an advocate for environmental causes for so long, right? Yes. And really unabashed, just out there protecting Mama Earth, right?
Yeah.
How has it shifted for you with the birth of your first child?
I think it's starting with the food. Because now I'm feeding her, and now I'm so conscious about what I'm putting in her little body and what I'm exposing her to. And I love just bringing her out in nature and exposing her to every different element that we have, and the value of it is just, I think as humans we have to go back and connect to, where our food comes from, where we come from, where we resonate from. So. For me, I feel really responsible. I felt responsible before, but now I feel like I want her to learn and to be a good steward of this planet and to be conscious and grow her own food and teach her how to do that. Yeah.
Thanks for being an incredible mom.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying. She's only 10 months old, so
well,
I'm new at this.
Good things to come.
Thank you, Josh.
Everybody give it up for Amy Smart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo! Okay, here we go. I'm driving westward from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, into a vast expanse of rangeland. Once off the interstate, the world I encounter is largely devoid of structures, humans, and beasts. My vehicle is moving forward, but it appears as if I am standing still. I have become a tiny speck traveling inside an ocean of grain. Rows and rows of monocrops stretched to the horizon in all directions, giving the illusion the world outside is in a suspended animation. South Dakota is in the northern spring wheat belts and produces astonishing quantities of commodity grain. In this state alone, there are almost 5 million acres of corn, around 4 million acres of soy, and 3.5 million acres of hay. Almost all these crops, along with the neonicotinoid insecticides and the dioxin-based herbicides sprayed on them, will be fed to the animals, which in turn will be fed to us. Like a good soldier in the battle to feed the world, this state dutifully plays its part in the corn CAFO complex. For the carbohydrate-based foods found in bags and boxes in our supermarkets, this state also grows almost 3 million acres of wheat. Corn, soy, hay, animals, wheat, these are the toes on the ecological footprint of postmodern man. Like the civilizations that preceded ours, our cultural history is being stretched into these lands by our food system because our culture places such little significance on ecological history. It is easy to forget that this monocropped world is a recent creation. A 1940 Soil Conservation Service map of this area shows a radically different ecology from the one I now observe. The man-made Midwest of single-species agriculture was heretofore a prairie thick with perennial grasses whose roots often stretched 10 to 20 feet deep into the soil. The eastern frontier of this state was covered in Kentucky bluegrass, western wheatgrass, blue grama, dry land sedges, side oats grama, little blue stem, and sand dropseed. Toward the Black Hills in the west, the mixture gave way to grasses with the names like needle and thread and buffalo grass. These prairie grasses were the carbon pump that drew carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and sent it deep into the soils where microbes fixed into stable forms. That dark, rich soil is the basis for America's great breadbasket. As in all ecosystems, the grasses were part of a larger symbiotic relationship. Prior to European settlement, there was also another organism on these plains, one which both depended on the grasses and without which the grasses themselves would wither. This symbiosis between this creature and the prairie grasses gave us the fertility from which modern agriculture now draws. Designated by its significant name, bison, the American bison is better known as the buffalo. It is said that when a bison herd moved across the plains, the thunder of their hooves could be heard from miles away. As they passed, the herd formed an impenetrable wall of animals lasting for up to 2 days. In 1842, Philip St. George Cook was traversing the Santa Fe Trail when he wrote the following account. Suddenly a cloud of dust rose over its crest, and I heard a rushing noise of a mighty whirlwind, and I had not time to divine its cause, when a herd of buffalo arose over the summit, and a dense mass, thousands upon thousands, galloped with headlong speed directly upon the spot where I stood. Still onward they came, heaven protect me, it was a fearful sight. As the largest group of wild herd animals to have existed on Earth since the retreat of ice some 12 to 10,000 years ago, the first-hand experience of a moving herd of buffalo must have been awesome. These beasts and the fertility they bestowed on the land created the soil bank account from which almost every American still eats, or rather withdraws to this day. Thank you very much. Yay.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Josh.
Great to see you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Writing.
So, one of the people who really turned me on to this idea of soil-based biosequestration, soil sucking carbon out of the atmosphere, changing the climate, doing all these incredible things, is this really inspirational dude, okay? And his family actually created a restaurant chain. Those of you who are in Los Angeles, you've probably eaten there at least once. It's called Cafe Gratitude. And the Engleharts really did something special because, according to Ryland, who we're going to meet in a minute, they didn't want to create a cafe at first. They wanted to create a game. And the game was about creating abundance. And they realized that in order to really play the game, they needed to give people a way to interact with abundance in the world. And so they created a cafe. But then when they created a cafe, they realized the whole chain of events, from the moment that you eat all the way back to the soil, that entire chain of events had to have integrity. It all had to be about creating more abundance. And so they began a journey that led Ryland and Finian Makepeace as co-founder to co-found the Kiss the Ground nonprofit organization, which is the namesake and much of the inspiration for this movement, for the book Kiss the Ground, and for so many wonderful things to come. I welcome to the stage a brother, a man of great integrity, an awesome human being, and a really fun guy, Ryland Engelhart. Hey, Ryland. Now, did I get that story approximately right about your family? Did I make any of it up?
I mean, I think you made it up, but I think you were mostly right on.
Mostly correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what we go for mostly correct in Hollywood, right? You've really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I've got to acknowledge you, and I've got to acknowledge Finian, and I've got to acknowledge Lauren and the whole team at the Kiss the Ground nonprofit. Karen Rodriguez, I mean, you guys have really built an incredible awareness-making machine. I really thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And some great videos, some great movies. The Soil Story, The Compost Story, starring some of our people from Rosario Dawson and Amy Smart and some amazing stuff. So you're going to read a little bit from the book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I jump into that, the miracle story that I love about this intersection of our lives is that you built a film company and lived in Venice, California.
It's true.
And
it's very true.
You moved out and moved to Ojai.
Yes.
And I moved into your house.
Yes.
And one of our first conversations in that transaction of me renting your place,
yes,
or taking over your place, was,
yeah,
Josh, we got to make a film about soil. do you know about soil? Do you know that we can actually reverse climate change
this is what he
through
said,
soil?
And
he was kind of like, yeah, we're more alternative energy, renewable energy. We're doing the thing. We're going to Ojai. And then to now be sitting here, 5-6 years later, with a book in my hand that's called Kiss the Ground.
Right. Which you're in, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Okay.
There's a big section.
What do you mean? There was a chapter we had to take out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. There was some stuff in there. But not to worry. Not to worry. It wasn't good. Don't worry about that part. Now, Ryland.
Yes.
What's the objective of Kiss the Ground?
The objective of Kiss the Ground is to inspire and catalyze a regenerative movement that can feed the world nourishing, delicious, healthy food, and also simultaneously sequester enough carbon so that we can continue to live on this beautiful planet we call home.
Is that something we can get behind? Is that a mission? Is that a mission we can all get behind? Yes. Yeah, that's a beautiful mission. All right, Ryan.
Beautiful.
Thank you for reading.
Yeah.
I'll see you in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Give it all of your love up here, Ryland Engelhart. Thank you.
The beautiful thing about compost is that it is feedstock independent. In other words, the process of composting doesn't care what you put into it, provided the source material is biological. This is because compost is an ancient process driven by microbes that always remember what to do. Those microbes and the compost they make are a part of our planet's ecological memory. Technically speaking, ecological memory refers to an ecosystem's site history. Soil properties, spores, seeds, stems, fragments, mycorrhizae, species, populations, microbes, and other remnants of how those biological pieces may influence the composition of the replacement communities and ecosystem. Ecological memory contains both biological and genetic legacies, such as seeds, animals, and plants. In other words, it's the ability of the ecosystem. To remember how to come back to life. To truly bring the North American ecosystem back, we would need to bring back large organisms, including the bison. But this is a tall order. We now have a nation of cows and freeways, cities and cattle, heifers and asphalt. Our land is subdivided into millions of parcels, and our bovines are large, domesticated, and the slow kind. With our fenced-off prairies, we are unlikely to see herds of wild bison thundering across Interstate 40 anytime soon. Today is our junkyard ecosystem with bits and pieces of species from all over the planet. It exists not because of some form of management or planning, but rather due to the complete lack thereof. In contrast, the infrastructure we value the most, including our cities, our freeways, our internet pipelines, are all carefully managed. For us to live well and live well into the future, the accumulation of culture must come face to face with our ecology. We must learn to use the bits and pieces in the junkyard, as well as the strong, plentiful ecological memory of the land itself, to construct something similar to what was. By using the techniques pioneered by regenerative farmers and carbon cowboys, we might have a shot at a diverse, resilient ecosystem that contains many of the species that cooperatively support life, sequester carbon into the soil, and provides humans with the vast quantities of food we so desperately need. Importantly, there are Native Americans working on this issue, people like Carleen Hunter and Mark Tilson, the Lakota Native Americans from Pine Ridge Indian Reservation who started a food company. They now make Tonka bars. The objective is their company to use demand for sustainably raised buffalo foods to bring back the great buffalo. Given these leaders and a lot of hard work, we might just be able to fill that buffalo bank account once again. And maybe, just maybe, with the time and dedication, carefully breeding and reintroducing, someday in the distant future, our grandchildren may see herds of majestic Tonkas thundering across the Great Plains again. That is a legacy I'm fighting for. We're all fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryland Engelhart.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say the last thing is, when I had the insight and saw the reality of that we could, by our food choices, catalyze enough carbon out of the atmosphere back into the soil and create a resilient regenerative system for generations to come, I knew that that was the truth that we had all been waiting for how we can continue to live on this green planet. And I'm just so grateful that this literally, the idea, the conception of Kiss the Ground started in the living room not too far from here. And it's just such an honor to be here and see what is emerging. So, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Is this awesome? This is awesome. Doesn't it feel good to be surrounded with good people and good information and good news? You know, it's funny. We are in a time of incredible cynicism, you know? And it's so easy to kind of fall asleep into that cynical news feed that we're all so familiar with. But when you tune in to great information about healing the planet, about restoring the soil, about reversing global warming, these things that seem undoable suddenly become available. And great minds think alike. We have a great group of people here tonight, and we've saved some of the very sweetest for last, okay? Now, you know our next guest. In fact, you've probably known her for a long time from such really avant-garde, cool movies like Clerks 2. I mean, that was wild, right? But she's gone on. She's gone way beyond that to things like Grindhouse and more recently Daredevils. But I think one of Rosario Dawson's most profound roles, one of her most profound roles, is in a movie that's online right now. It's called The Compost Story. I want to welcome to the stage actress, activist, feminist, environmentalist, and all-around daredevil, Rosario Dawson. What an honor to have you here tonight.
Give it up for Soil! Blah, blah. It's good to be here, my love. I'm sorry I'm sick. I want to be like making out with all of you.
Oh, well, I don't think that anyone in this room would have a problem getting a cold from you.
I don't know, man. It's not cool. It's not a good look.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Why are you interested in soil?
I'm excited about soil. You know, I grew up in New York. I'm so grateful to community gardens that actually many of them were protected because of Bette Midler. So there was always sort of, for me, since I was really young, a sort of connection between people's art, being able to give them access to a platform that could create privileges for folks outside of the conversation that you would normally think of, and just how cool that was. My very first thing I ever did was for Sesame Street, and they had one of those, you know, they would do those sort of like side videos kind of things, like little mini docs, short films. And I am in this one that is about this community garden. And I got paid like $20 because this woman in my building was in the squat that I was growing up in, was dating the guy who was a camera guy. So that's how I got my in. And I'm like 11 years old. I'm super tall next to these other little kids. I was just supposed to watch them. But I ended up doing a voiceover and being in it a little bit. And that's still the best thing that I ever get recognized for. Like when I used to pick up my brother from school, and these little kids would come up like, "Were you in Sesame Street?" I'm like, "Yes." And we're talking about food, and we're eating the food that the kids were growing. And it was just, you know, all these years later, to still need to be in this conversation is sad, but it's still so vitally important and incredible for people because it's such a wonderful access point. I mean, yeah, we have to stop sucking, and we got to stop using single-use straws and like plastic bags and all these types of things, which is incredibly important in our daily lives. Yes. But soil is not just nutritious because it grows our food and it gives us that, but just putting our hands in it, putting our feet in it, it's been known to help people who are dealing with recovering from cancer, all types of things. It's just, we get our energy from the sun.
Yes.
We need that soil. We're animals. Don't let them think that we're any different. We are animals, we are creatures on this planet, and the other creatures that we are living with are all earthlings. It's not just us, and we need to be as connected as possible, and it's just really great to be a part of something that's reminding people about that connection, as well as connecting them to medicine, which is our food. And just really gives them something really wonderful to interact with, to do something for the planet. Not just, you know, recycling this or that. It's not just about preventing pollution, but actually about a whole cycle and regenerative cycle of life that keeps us in keeping with our rhythm, that in and out breath, that just cycle of, you know, birth and death and birth and death, and just kind of keeps us connected to source. So this is really powerful.
Wow.
And really beautiful.
Wow. You are an inspiration. You know that? Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Awesome, Rosario.
You're an inspiration. This is really beautiful. I haven't been able to read all of it. It's really good.
Thank you.
It's really, really good. Thank you for writing this for us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to give it up to you.
All right, my love.
Rosaria Dawson, ladies and gentlemen.
Herein lies yet another layer of the vicious cycle of modern farming. Farmers with bad soils must use more and more technology to try to emulate what nature already does. Meanwhile, the demand on them from the futures markets, the chemical and seed companies, the government and farming culture in general, is to produce ever more per acre. Their cost of inputs continues to rise. Their soil degrades. Their per acre profit continues to decline, often into the negative. Federal insurance must cover the difference. The following year, the cycle kicks into slightly higher gear and starts again. In this game of diminishing returns, we are literally paying farmers to go out of business. Like frogs slowly boiled in water, most farmers do not jump out until it's too late. If insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results, then our food system qualifies as clinically insane. Perhaps this is why Gabe Brown concludes by saying, I have no desire to produce commodities. I want to produce nutrition. Gabe says, nowadays, glyphosate is used like water. He's talking about the primary chemical component of Roundup, which by itself makes up a big portion of the 3 pounds of pesticides sprayed per American every year. They apply it in multiple passes, and glyphosate being a chelator, chelator, hey, go team. It ties up the heavy metals so there's less nutrient cycling. Then you have deficiencies in your plant, so the plant isn't able to ward off fungal diseases. Gabe bends down, picks at the dry dirt, and manages to grab a clump in his hand. He brings it to his nose, sniffs it, and shakes his head. And if you smell the soil, it's highly bacterial, which means it's bacterial dominant. He offers it to me, and I sniff it. Gone is that earthy smell from Gabe's garden. In its place is a sickly, acidic smell and odor. Look at the density of that, he says, crunching the hard, compacted soil in his hands. You see no earthworms in there, no holes. It's going to have very poor infiltration, very little nutrient cycling going on. It's more or less just dirt, not soil. He says, tossing the dirt back on the ground. The lines on Gabe's brow are deep and furrowed like a plowed field. That's nice. He's visibly distressed. Not so nice. Gabe has brought me to this particular field of death because it offers a side-by-side apples-to-apples type comparison. Right across the dirt road is one of his polycrop polycultures, a veritable plant forest brimming with life, including the loud crickets. I ask Gabe to dig a shovelful of soil from each field. He obliges. The dirt from the death field looks like hardened clay with no roots. The soil from Gabe's field is like chocolate cake. He says it takes between 3 to 5 years for him to restore an extremely degraded piece of land, like the one we are standing on, and back to basic soil health. 3 years to 5. The more I look at the two fields, the more I realize we are standing on the fence line between two futures. In one of those futures, a rapidly expanding global population will pressure farmers to add more chemicals, more engineering, more machines, and more fossil fuels to produce more nutrient-void, chemically laden calories. The other future is part of a much more complex ecosystemic way of plugging into the flow of natural processes. This alternate future involves relearning our food system and then redesigning it from scratch. It also offers the promise of foods that just might have the potential to save our civilization from self-destruction. We stand there in silence for a moment, looking at both fields. Gabe sums it up by slowly pointing to each field. I ask you, is this going to feed the 10 billion people? He says, jabbing his thick finger toward the field of Roundup-resistant weeds. Or is this, he asks, opening his palm to this polycrop forest of food. To anyone bothering to come to North Dakota to look, the answer is painfully obvious. Thank you. Oh, wait. Are you taking it?
I'm going to take it. Yeah. So you've been, and you are, an incredibly patient group of people. If you'll indulge me one more minute, I just have a little piece that I'd like to read from the book before we close it out. Actually, there's a little surprise after this, I've heard. A little surprise. So if you don't mind, I'll read something that was just kind of important when I wrote it down. I wanted to share it with you personally tonight. Regardless of how you might feel about climate change, the facts are simple. Carbon dioxide is acidifying our oceans. There in the waters that cover the vast majority of our planet is the basis for our oxygen and our food. If the oceans die, then we die. And while you or I may survive, our children's future is far less certain, and their children face an even more daunting tomorrow. At the very least, a world with acidic oceans and toxic food is not something to strive for. Rather, it's an apocalypse we must not allow. The time has come to stand together. The time has come for you and me to join the ranks. Slow food, permaculture, polycropping, biocybernetics, regenerative agriculture, vegetarianism, veganism, regeneratorianism, these are all valid. It's time to find your place and sign up. It's also possible to sign yourself up for radical change without becoming a radical. Food and eating food are our most powerful daily actions. We know exactly how to feed ourselves and to balance the planet's systems. We have the workforce. We do not need government assistance for this revolution to work. We need something much more powerful: individual and social commitment. Farming is hard work. Taking dead earth and restoring it to glory takes multiple years. It will not be easy. But what I am proposing is not an easy overnight revolution. It's the kind of revolution where you dig in, literally, to make the kind of change that'll last decades, maybe even centuries. For those of us who live in cities, our food is our power. Companies fear the buying power of a consumer base scorned. This is a deciding moment for humanity. Our fate depends on what we eat and how we produce that food. It depends on whether we continue to ignore our impact on the ecosystem or embrace the fact that we are inseparable from it. The time has come for all of us to choose. Do we want a future rich with life or a future riddled with death? If it is life we want, then the time has come for us to humble ourselves and kiss the ground. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more very exciting surprise before we end tonight's live stream. There is a fabulous, incredible cake delivered by our producers and executive producers of the movie, John Scheinberg and Susie Scheinberg. Not only is it a regenerative cake, it's a cake you can literally dig into. It's chocolate like the soil. Ladies and gentlemen, we present you the Kiss the Ground cake. Thank you to those of you who are tuning in tonight. Make sure to review the book.
To review the book?
To review the book. Give it a great rating on Amazon, ladies and gentlemen. Get your copy tonight.
I just wanted to acknowledge, we also have Don Smith in the house, one of the first volunteers for Kiss the Ground ever. It's your birthday, and we have cake, and I just wanted to say happy birthday.
Happy Kiss the Ground
Who
birthday.
Is? Nuna, it's your birthday? Oh my God. So, yeah, happy birthday. Thank you. We love you. And this is...
And Kiss the Ground.
And Kiss the Ground.
Good night.
Good night.
It's beautiful. Okay, let's have the lights up. Let's have some cake, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.